Hey guys, Amy here with Leap of Faith Crafting. Thanks so much for stopping by. So today I was going to use my xTool F1 and show you how to make a stamp with it, a rubber stamp. So I just got this rubber sheet off Amazon and I will link this below. And doing a happy Halloween stamp, and I will link where I got the file for this below. So we're just going to walk through the creative space and show you a few things you need to do in order to do the stamp, and then we're gonna engrave it. You'll see in the video I showed you how to do it, to actually cut around it too. My F1 didn't end up cutting all the way through it, so if you have the more powerful F1 Ultra, it probably would cut all the way through it, but mine didn't, and I just ended up cutting around it, which was super easy. So you have those options. And again, I just put this just because I had one of these spare stamp blocks I used to use, but you can definitely use buy the wood rounds, or even cut out a wood round and get the stamper things if you're wanting to do it, like make it as gift or even selling it. I would probably recommend cutting maybe 2 or 3 even layers of the rubber, or put even foam in between to get a little bit more height so that the ink stamp doesn't get all the way around the block if you're using the block. But if you just have a round the same size of this, then it won't get on the outside. But I didn't want to buy anything new, so I just wanted to use what I have on hand because I'm just using this for myself and not selling it or anything. Okay, so let's jump into Creative Space and start making the stamp. Okay, so we are in xTool Creative Space and we are going to make a stamp here. So I'm going to go ahead and go up to Image, and I am going to insert an SVG file. I downloaded these from Creative Fabrica and I will link this below, but I'm going to go ahead and open this, say yes, scale it to fit. And then when it comes in, and this one just comes in all separate pieces. So what I want to do first is actually go to the combine and click on unite, so it turns into one image. I'm just going to drop the size down a little bit here. Okay, and right now it's on score, but if I went to engrave, and for these type of things, you're just gonna have to think of how you want your stamp. So you could you could do it this way, but all of the dark stuff is what's gonna get engraved, and the white part is what's gonna be kind of up. So it just depends on what you want the back layer to be, and this is mostly because it has an outline already. But what I like to do is you can either put a circle on the outside, or we can actually make it the same shape as our image here by going to outline, and I uncheck the inner because I don't want as much on the inner, and then I have to make it bigger because I want to get rid of all of these little pieces in there. So I'm going to bump this up a little bit more. You see there's one little piece there. Let's go up to 1 point. Oops. 6. Okay, and that piece disappeared. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and click on OK. Okay, so now we have the outline. So we actually want 2 of these because one of them we want to actually cut the rubber out, the stamp, and then we're actually gonna engrave with it. So I'm gonna go ahead and I use my keyboard shortcuts and hit Control-C and Control-V, but you could also right click on it to get your copy and paste in there. And then I'm actually going to just move this to the side, and this one we're actually going to use as to cut. So I'm going to actually turn this one to cut right now, and then this one I actually like to turn it to engrave to kind of see the colors that I'm using, and I'm actually going to move it to a different layer. So I'm going to click on the move to down here and just click another color, and then I'm going to send this to the back under arrange. Okay, so it should be totally centered, but if it's not, because I haven't moved anything, you can grab your cursor and drag it over both of them, go into align and align center, horizontal and vertical. They don't have a center. And then we're going to use our combine tools and subtract at the overlap. Okay, so now we have kind of the inverted image of what we had before. So all of these dark parts are what is going to engrave around it, and the white parts is what actually the stamp is going to be. Okay, so then we're going to move this back over it, and I have my snaps in place so it snaps to it. If you don't, you can go ahead and click that align horizontal and align vertical again. Okay, and then I'm going to size this. Let's drop it down about a 2. We're just going to center that kind of in the center of our thing. I'm going to go ahead and save this. Okay, so for my layer 2, which is my blue, which is my engraving, I'm going to go ahead and change this. We're going to bump our power all the way up to 100. We are going to turn our speed to 60. We're going to do 2 passes of this. And then we're going to bump up our lines per centimeter to 220. And then for my red layer, which is the cut layer, I'm going to click on that down here and see it already says cut. We are going to bump this one up to 100. And then we are going to drop our speed way down to about 3. Okay, and that's going to cut the rubber. Okay, and also since we have words in this, since it's going to cut and we have to flip it over, we actually want to mirror this image, or in this program it's reflect. So I'm going to click on that. Actually, I'm just going to grab both of them and make sure, and we're going to reflect this horizontally so it flips our wording over for us. Okay, and now we are ready to connect our machine. Okay, so I just got this piece of rubber from Amazon, and I will link this below. I'm actually going to cut it just so we can close. Okay, so we have our piece here. I'm going to put that down right there and turn my knob. Make sure that's set. I don't need my drop mine all the way down. We're going to go ahead and hit my framing. The framing button here. And just make sure it's going to cut the blue light. You can see where it's going to cut all the way around. Okay. And we're going to drop that all the way down. Stop framing. I'm going to go ahead and hit process on my machine. Start. And we're going to hit start button there. Okay, so here's mine. I just rinsed it out underwater. Mine didn't go all the way through, and it was starting to flame a little bit, so I was a little bit nervous of making it even slower. So I'm just going to actually just cut around it because we don't really need the edge. And if you're going to sell them, things like that, probably want to play around with the settings and see if you can do it, or if you have the stronger one, it probably would. But we're going to go ahead and just cut around the edges. And then I just have one of these old stamping blocks that we used to, and you could put stamps on and off. So, but you can find wood ones, things like that. And we're just gonna, and you definitely could also layer this up. So cut another rubber thing out, same size, and put it right under it. So then it's popped up a little bit more from the stamp pad, or you could even get like the foam sheets and use those, because sometimes when you have it this close to it, you'll get the edges of that when you actually stamp. So it's nice to have it up a little bit. Okay. And there we go. And there you go, your own stamp. Okay, so again, yeah, with these basic stamps, probably just easier just to use scissors and cut around the rubber with it, just because, like I said, it started to flame a little bit in there, which always makes me a little bit nervous. It wasn't catching on fire, but there was definitely a flame with even that low speed. But something you can play around with if you have a different laser machine to cut around the edge. But the engraving's pretty cool. So again, you just need to figure out how to invert the image and how you want the stamp. Okay, so I hope that helps some getting you started with making your own stamps. You can do for the holiday. You can do a return address labels, things like that. Okay, and make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any more tutorials. And thanks so much for stopping by.